Welcome everyone, Marc and Steen here from OysterGro. Today we're super excited to introduce the all-new Hybrid Shift cage system. Steen, what was the inspiration behind this cage?
So the inspiration behind the cage, as always, is fundamentally driven by our customers and their feedback.
Right.
Everything that we've done with OysterGro, everything that we do with OysterGro is based on feedback and performance out on the farms. So that was number one. Number two, we also wanted to bring to the table, as we look at this iteration of product, our environmental impact. Obviously, with everything that's going on, we're more and more concerned nowadays about how we can lessen our carbon footprint, and we wanted to introduce that into the design of this. So this is quite different to anything that's out there or you would have seen before, and different enough that we've basically established a patent pending on it.
Okay. So
first and foremost, we are not building the cage structure for you. You're doing that yourself. It's a kit.
Okay. What does that mean?
So what that basically means is we've come up with a design that's a very simple, straightforward build. If you have a socket set, that's all you need. We're looking at 8 bolts and lots of components interlocking to make the cage structure. Once it's locked together,
it's rigid.
It ain't going anywhere. The other thing that we wanted to do was, from a manufacturing point of view, how can we lessen the environmental impact? And one of the things that we've done, and you'll see this on separate videos, that we've established a whole new division of the business called Aquafab. So engineering for aquaculture.
Aquafab.
And fundamentally, what that means is everything's built right here. So rather than going to a second source supplier, we're manufacturing on site. So we're just bringing the raw materials in and then producing. So again, that's less logistics, less shipping costs, and those costs are obviously going into a cost reduction.
That's right.
To produce the system, which is obviously a positive effect for the customer. On the flip side of that, going back to the kits, the self-build, there's economic benefits for the self-build for the client. First and foremost, we can get twice as much in a truck or a container,
right,
versus the traditional methods.
That's huge.
Yes. So if a customer's setting up a farm and he needs 2 truckloads, well, guess what? He needs 1 now. So again, that's hitting them from the point of view of a significant saving in their pocket, but also if we're taking 1 truck off the road for every shipment that we're doing, again, that's got positive impact for the environment. So, designing and engineering things like this, thinking about all of those elements, it makes it quite tricky. As you'll agree, we probably spent more time working out how this system would ship than the actual base of the build itself.
Absolutely.
So there's lots of head scratching there, but at the end of the day, we wanted to maximize the volume in that truck. 1, the cost saving. 2, reducing the environmental impact, which matters. There's some school of thought out there that maybe it's not that much of a problem. We at OysterGro believe that anything we could possibly do to reduce impact, absolutely must do it. And this is basically the basis of that.
Right. So now let's talk about the key features of the cage.
So the features of the cage. So fundamentally, this is a choice. So we are not switching out from the traditional mesh methods that we manufacture with. We have a fantastic cage system and we use aqua mesh for that. We wouldn't use any other mesh than the aqua mesh from Riverdale. It is the best. It's top quality. But we wanted to give people a choice. Fundamentally, if you're looking from a sizing, fitment, and everything like that, this is very similar to our 4-inch mesh from the geometry of it, the measurements. We have a very wide stance for our floats.
Yeah, let's show it to the camera. So it's pretty much the same as the bag.
Yep.
Right in line with the bag.
They're right on the outer edge.
Yeah.
The reason we do that is stability. If you have the floats too far in, if you have a crosswind, if you have boat traffic running up on the outside of your lease, and you've just done that flip for critical air drying, it's never a good thing when some of your cages are flipping back over. So the wider the stance, the more stability. We're basically reducing that center of gravity effect, which is, you know, giving you that air drying performance that you need. You don't want to be going back and air drying things for a second time, because you might be stressing your oysters, and you're creating more work for yourself. So, you know, getting it done once, getting it done right is key. So stance of the floats really matters.
Yeah, it does. Let's talk about the end here, how it's quite different from others on the market.
Yep. So again, you know, this is in keeping with having it set up as a self build. We've gone for twinned tubes, so the top and bottom are tubes, square tubes, which give a much more rigid structure, and they're sandwiching the shelf. So when I said that you literally need a socket set, that's exactly it. You've got 8 bolts that are putting this thing together. They're all stainless steel fittings, and basically it locks it all together, and there's no movement whatsoever.
So I see that there's the 2 tubes, but there's also a shelf in between?
Yes. So the shelf is in between. A shelf with OysterGro, if anyone ever asks us what's the best choice of cage, whether you're in wire mesh or whether you're in our new hybrid design, essentially a shelf will always give you the optimum. Why? Because you're separating the bags, and when you separate the bags, you're giving more room for water flow and nutrients to go through the bags. So effectively, rather than having 2 bags stacked on top of each other and just circulating water around the outside, you're separating them and allowing that flow. More nutrient, more feed, faster growth. And, you know, at the end of the day, the client's running a business. They want optimal performance. This gives you optimal performance.
Yeah. Let's talk about the strands now. Is there anything different with the way we attach our strands to the floats?
So yes, I mean this is different to obviously our cage methods. Our cage methods, we're using clips, which need specialty guns and things like this. This is a preformed strand that's basically bent to match the form of the float. We have some preloaded hooks on there, and then you just lock it in place with a lever that we actually manufacture as well as part of what's happening with Aquafab. So when we talk about locking, obviously the strand's locking through the deep set grooves in the float, but unique to our products is we run a groove on the underside. So as you can see, there's a bar that runs underneath the float. So rather than having the float just sitting on the bar, cresting that radius and all that force is on that one point, we actually have it saddling. So it follows the contour of the bar, dissipating the load, much better for longevity, but also we've actually locked it in. It's truly locked to the cage.
Yeah.
So when you have it locked and there's no movement, there's no wear.
That's right. Now let's talk about the other set of strands, how they're different than from the others.
So yeah, the other set of strands, you'll see something that's probably a bit of a curiosity from the first time you see it. We have a raised block on there. So this is aluminum, it's TIG welded in position, so super strong weld all the way around, and essentially what we've got is a wearing structure.
What for?
Again, this is down to feedback. So customers are moving their farms into more aggressive water, there's more movement, and not everyone has that mud or soft sand bottom. Some people have a heavy shale or even a rock bottom.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, if you have movement when you've got the systems on the bottom, that movement is going to be abrasive on the floats.
That's right.
Which, you know, effectively can shorten the life expectancy of your float. So what we wanted to do was incorporate something that's sacrificial. So you've got a lot of meat there to basically wear down, And if you come to a point where it looks like it's getting a little bit close for comfort, you snip off the strand, you put a brand new one on. So you can do preventative maintenance with your system as you go forward in its life.
Terrific.
We've engineered this to last a very long time.
So this would be an option.
It's an option, yes. So you've got the standard. So if your lease is on sand or your lease is, you absolutely do not need this. If you're in a rocky situation and it's something you've experienced in the past or something you're concerned with, if you're going into a new lease setting, you should be choosing this.
Terrific. So now let's talk about the design of our dividers. So these are pretty cool looking. What's so special about them?
So again, going back to Aquafab. Aquafab is basically uniting many different elements of what we do, plus our new fabrication service. But this is a product that's produced by our injection molding team at BBI. And what we wanted to do, again, minimizing any equipment needed to assemble, minimizing any hardware. There is no hardware. We've engineered interlocking tanks that lock into the cage.
Right.
So we slide that in, and essentially when the shelf moves through, the shelf, once it's bolted in place, that's locking that divider so it can't go back.
Right.
So everything's self-locking. So again, no tools. Really quick to put together, and it really functions quite well. And again, light, we're taking weight out of the system, but not affecting flow.
So how long would it take to put this kit together?
You're putting this together, the cage, 1 to 2 minutes, literally. It's that simple, and probably another couple of minutes or so for the floats. I'm no expert cage builder or can match the speed of any of our guys in production, but I can put this together in 5 minutes, genuinely.
Good. That's pretty fast.
Yeah.
And we're also using our gaiters that we have on all our other cages.
Yeah.
Using Aquamesh.
Yeah.
So, Steen, you want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So the gaiters, essentially, it's the same gaiter that is on our traditional systems using the Aquamesh, and one of it probably apparent now that we've been working on this design for quite some time, because we made the jaw of the gaiter intentionally quite wide. It's fine for fit and function on the mesh condition, no problem whatsoever, but that allows us to basically have it locking.
Yeah, no, it locks really nicely
on the alloy.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
So it's everything's designed with this particular system in mind.
I just have a question: is it gaiter or gaiter?
Well, in English, it's gaiter, but being that I'm in North America, I should join in, and it's gaiter.
Is there anything else worth mentioning on the features of this cage?
So it's lightweight, it's rugged, everything interlocks, even the underside of the cage, the back closes out and comes behind the top. So there's no way there's separation there. Everything's interlocking.
It's super rigid.
It's super rigid. It's really taut.
So for the people, for the ones that have to sink for the winter and they're stuck in mud in the spring when they pull up, this will not. No. I mean, essentially, and that's a good point actually. The bridles are tying on here, so you've got a nice wide stance on the bridle. We've got the tubular structure, which is going to help mitigate any attempt of distortion when you're pulling it up. But the other thing as well, and going back to the shelf, and it's standard, the shelf actually is bolted and acts as a stringer, a reinforcement that runs all the way through the cage. So as you pull, any energy is being transferred all the way through the structure. Nice.
So you're not going to see any warpage or anything like that as you're pulling the system up from the bottom. And that's whether you're in Canada and you're pulling it up after a winter with sea ice, or you're in an area that's you know, hurricane prone, and you've had to put it down on the seafloor, because you know, in those areas, you know, they can get a lot of sediment moving quick because they have such you know, tremendous storms.
So Steen, now let me ask you the real awkward question: how much and when?
Ooh, I don't like awkward questions, but I'll do my best to answer it for you. I'll start in reverse. When?
Okay.
When is early 2022. Essentially what's happening right now is we're building a brand new facility on site that Aquafab's going to be manufacturing out of. At the moment we're manufacturing from a small workshop off-site. So that's going to be happening. Well, it's happening right now. If you could hear them, the concrete trucks are pouring cement right now. How much? Well, how much is a difficult one. We'll definitely have numbers close to the launch, obviously, but right now it would be a little bit unfair because we have so much volatility in the material market. You know, I'm sure everyone's aware of it, what's going on. So you know, with the alloys and the polymers and what have you, we don't really know where the pricing is. Hopefully, normality and sensible pricing will come back in place, and then we'll be able to give solid and consistent pricing as we always like to.
Okay. So when do you figure will we be able to offer these products, or when we will be able to take orders?
So we'll be taking orders as soon as the pricing is published, which will be early next year. So you know, you can definitely put this on your Christmas wish list. We'll be taking orders. We'll be taking orders from them on. We wanted to launch and show everyone early because we're in that time of year where everyone's thinking about what they're going to be doing next year and how they want to do things, and we wanted everyone to know that there's a new option on the table that has some really big benefits. So that allows you to give you more choice. OysterGro is all about choice. We got lots of different systems, lots of different accessories, and we just enriched it with the new hybrid system.
Okay.
So that's a wrap on this video. Keep following our pages on our social media. We've got lots more exciting information to share, including more in-depth and detailed videos on this system and other things that we're doing. We're going to be showing you how to put it together. You know, we talked about it being easy. We're going to demonstrate it. So that's going to be shown for you in the coming weeks. So lots of exciting stuff, but we can't give you everything at once. So enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you very much for watching. Cheers.
Thanks.